Hello everyone. Today we're going to be taking a look at Squadron Strike, Romance of the Seven Realms, a neat little expansion that you can get with Squadron Strike both in a physical form as well as a digital form like I have right here. So basically what we've done here is we've set up ourselves a little bit of a battle. Squadron Strike, as you all well know already, is basically a sandbox system that you can do space-based board game combat completely in 3D. There's a number of different expansions. There's an Axanar one, there's the Romance one, there's the Traveler one, and like I said, you can also create your own using some of the very, very powerful tools that they have built into the program. So, Romance of the Seven Realms, if you can't tell by looking at the cover, I wonder what that could be. Okay. Let's go take a look over here. I wonder what this is. Let's go look over here. No, those vehicles are clearly not recognizable. It's basically a fighter-based version of Squadron Strike. These games tend to resolve a little bit quicker than the regular ones do, and you tend to have a little bit different kind of mechanics. The setting book itself provides some alternate rules using Elan, which is basically another version of energy, which gives you special bonuses or special weapon attacks and things like that. But basically, you have two very, very large sides. You have kind of the big old hegemony, and you have a bunch of rebellious elements as well, which are basically all kind of fighting out with different types of spacecraft. Speaking of spacecraft, let's take a look at what we have here today. So the first one we have is we have Alpha 1 and we have Alpha 1-2. These two are flying Cockatrice, which are these little tiny ships. They've got pretty good armor in the front. They have a little bit of a profile bonus because they're so teeny tiny. And they also have this weird one where you can actually spend an action point to basically make your armor mildly tougher in the flip side that you don't want to do it. On the flip side, this vehicle is not exactly what I would consider well protected. If you actually take a look, if we were to get through the front armor and say get a location 4, you would literally blow this ship up the first hit you got it on. Weapon-wise, it has 3 of these hegemonic blaster systems. These weapons are kind of weird because, as you can see, they have a massive benefit as far as variability. If you hit well with it, it pretty much blows the other guy out of the air. If you don't hit well with it, it does like no damage at all. So variability, definitely. Coming over here, it's the same exact ship, except we have Alpha 1-2, crew quality 6X. 6 up, rather. Going over on this side, you can see we have something that looks, Excalibur. An Excalibur and a wing with Excalibur, whatever. Basically, this particular spacecraft is a little different than the other one. It's packed with 4 of these things called photon lances. These weapons do more damage normally, but they don't have the variability the other ones do. This guy also has a considerable amount of shields, and it also possesses these 2 bridge points. Remember, you can always use 2 bridge points as kind of an ad hoc damage control party, so you can actually try to fix things. Like if a shield goes down, for example, we can use that to restore some of the shield. The other neat advantage of this particular ship is you can do shield reinforcement, which we're definitely going to want to take advantage of pretty much right away. Now you'll notice these firing arc diagrams look a little different than maybe something you've seen before. The reason for that is this is a 2D SSD. I was going to do it in 3D, but I'd rather save that for something a little bit more absurd. So anyway, let's go ahead and do our little fight here. So basically, we have a couple different strategies we can use. The big thing is, if we're hit, we're probably going to die, which means we need to concentrate on not being hit. Since there are 2 of us, however, that makes me think a little bit about, can I use one as bait and kind of use the other one to kind of sneak up on his tail or something along those lines. These 2 craft can easily outturn this craft pretty much any day of the week. They're also quicker on the acceleration, which means we can basically kind of go really, really wide. Like, I don't know if I have enough table to execute maneuvers with these craft quickly and effectively. His strategy on the flip side is going to be basically try to get as close as possible and just spam the thing to death. We could actually fly right down the center of these and engage both of them together almost immediately, which would actually be a really effective tactic on account of the fact that that front shield, especially one reinforced, is going to be very, very effective. So let's go ahead and plot this out real quick. We have one movement card here. We can use our movement card, but we actually don't really need to use the movement card today because, like I said, we're keeping things nice and flat. It keeps it a little bit simpler. So we can use this little box that we have right here. This would be your speed from last turn. This is your modified speed, and this is going to be the total speed that you're going to be applying. These craft use mode 1 movement. What does that mean? That means basically they're going to inherit their speed from turn to turn, but not their vectors from turn to turn. So if I, for example, turn this ship, if I was going speed 5, my new speed would take me this way, my new speed would take me that way, etc. So it's a little bit different. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to go ahead and start these craft at a speed of 5. Their maximum speed at the beginning of the game, of course, would be up to 6. So we're actually going to start them at 5, and they're both going to be facing forward. Swinging over here to our Excalibur. We're going to do things a little bit differently. I'm going to go ahead and start my speed also at 5, my maximum speed in this particular case. Remember, this is initial speed, and again, initial position is going to look a little bit like this. And we're going to do something along those lines. I'm not going to order any pivots or anything like that. So as usual, this would be our initial setup. So I'm going to go ahead and grab our end of turn markers here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's going to be the end of turn marker for Excalibur. EOT. And let's go ahead and grab one of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's going to be the Alpha 1, 2 EOT. And this is going to be Alpha 1, 1 EOT. Okay. So at the beginning of our game, this is basically the situation we have here. So this is pretty tricky because I'm just looking at this. This is a really bad place for Excalibur to be because it's going to be it's going to be in his arc for both weapons, or is it only going to be an arc for one of the weapons? It's going to be in arc for. I'm just trying to take a look here. So we have to decide, since that's on a hex edge, we get to pick what arc it's in. So this is actually going to, both sets of these guys are going to be in arc. So this is actually a valid strategy. Unfortunately, that means we're going to get hit on both sides, where our shields are probably not going to be as effective. So I'm thinking from the Excalibur's perspective, we probably, maybe, we have to turn to slow down. So let's see here. I don't want to accelerate until next turn. I'm going to leave it just the way it is. Meanwhile, Alpha 1, 1 and Alpha 1, 2 are probably communicating back and forth with each other, saying we're going to try to pull one out of the line of fire and then put the other one into the line of fire. So that seems like a pretty good strategy to me. Try to get him with that free front shot. So I'm going to go ahead and order him to pivot. He gets to pivot up to 3 rather, which is a significant amount of pivot. But unfortunately, he has to move before he can pivot. So that tells me that we're probably going to pivot into the X-Wing so we can bring all of our weapons to bear and bring our heavier armored front to bear. So normally what we do is we come over here, we can go ahead and draw a little triangle in here, and we mark all the different sides. But like I said, I'm going to keep things simple. We're just going to be pivoting there, and we're going to up our speed up. We're going to leave our speed alone. So our speed is going to remain at 5. This guy's speed is also going to remain at 5. We're not going to pivot it at all. Okay, so now we'd move down, pivot, move to end of turn marker. So remember, we did not change speed. Did our X-Wing friend change speed? No. So we're going to go ahead and move. And remember, we chose to pivot this guy. I'm not choosing to pivot this one. Our X-Wing will go ahead and move to here. I should say X-Wing. I didn't say that. I said Excalibur. Our Excalibur has moved into position, and this is kind of where everybody ended up. So now what we do is we go ahead and bleed our speeds. We didn't do any of that. Oh, we did pivot. I take that back. He actually loses a little bit of speed here since he pivoted one window or 2 windows. Let me see here. He pivoted 2 windows. He would actually lose 2 speeds. So that's going to reduce his speed for next turn to 3, which we can make up very quickly. So I'm not worried about that too much. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust the end of turn markers here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's what the end of the turn is. All right, let's get on to the firing phase. Okay, as usual, it's just like you probably remember from the previous game here. We need to determine what arc everybody is in. 1, 2, 3. So that is less than. So this is actually out of the hex edge for him. Coming over to this arc, it's the exact same kind of a situation. 1, 2, 3, which is definitely going to be out of the side right here. 1, 2, 3. So it's, let's see here. We have a range of 3. I don't know if this guy's actually in arc here. So that's what we're working out real quickly. So 1, 2, 3. This would be this arc. This would be this arc. Yeah, that's off the hex edge here. And this is off the hex edge here. So that would mean, if you come over here and actually want to plot everybody, our hex edge is right here. So one guy is going to be here, and the other one is going to be right here as well. The neat thing is we can always take the reciprocal arc. Keep in mind his nose is actually here, which means if you go through this hex edge, it's going to put him right here. And it's going to say that this guy over here, remember he's moved his nose over in his pivot. He's now facing this way, so now it is right here. So he's going to be able to bring all weapons to bear. Checking weapons, yeah, we can definitely bring everything. Checking weapons again, we can bring everything, even though it looks like it is at a funny angle. X-Wing, Excalibur, sorry. Excalibur, yeah, you can definitely bring everything to bear there. Okay, so our Excalibur is going to fire 2 of his weapons at this guy, and he's going to fire 2 of his weapons at this guy. Meanwhile, those 2 ships are going to fire everything. So let's go ahead and start. Oh, by the way, at the beginning of this phase, we did reinforce our shield with 1 point here and 1 point here, just so you know. Oh, actually, we can't do that. We can only opt to pick one side that we want to reinforce, in which case we would have reinforced this, and we would have spent 1 bridge point to do so. Going back here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and fire. So we get 3 attacks per one of these little Cockatrice strike fighters. So 1, 2, 3. At range 3, it's accuracy 3 up. There's no profile bonus on the Excalibur, so it's just going to be a straight up 3 up. Go ahead and measure. We get 3 of these attacks. That's a hit for, that's embarrassing. That's going to be 2 damage to location 9. Since we're on the hex edge, we get to determine what we hit. Naturally, we're going to ignore where he just reinforced those shields, and we're just going to go ahead and damage the front shield. Haha. We get another attack. Again, we're looking for a 3 up here. That's a hit. So that's going to be 2, 3, 4 damage to location 8. Again, we're going to be mean. We're going to concentrate all of our damage in the nose. How much damage was that? I completely missed it. 2, 3, 4 damage. I'm sorry. Go ahead and mark off that last one. Boop. Got it. All right, then we get our 3rd attack with Alpha 1-1 here. Stay on the table. And that's a hit. That's going to be 1, 2, 3 damage, I believe. Yep, 3 damage to location 3. So again, since we're on the hex edge, I'm going to choose to hit him right on the nose. 1, 2, 3. Uh-oh, this isn't good. Keep in mind, all damage is simultaneous. All right, so Alpha 1-1 is done shooting here. So now Alpha 1-2 is going to go ahead and do his attacks. So it's a 1, that's a miss. 2nd attack is a 5, that's going to be a hit. That's 2, 3, 4 damage to location 0. He's also in the hex edge, so he's going to obviously choose to hit the front shield. How much damage was that? I missed it. 1, 2, 3, 4 damage to the nose. I take it back. 3, and what was the location? Because that penetrated. It's location 0, so we take a 0 hit. So that's going to mark off a whole box. And we have 1 more attack left. This might destroy our beautiful Excalibur. That's a hit. 4, it's going to be 4 damage, plus 2 is 6 damage to location 9. This might be a kill. 6 damage to location 9. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. And we have 3 damage left. So if we roll we want a low number here. We want a very low number. Otherwise, this X-Wing Excalibur is going to literally get chopped in 2. So that's a 2. So it's going to do 2 structural integrity hits immediately, which is bad. But the good news is we're done firing. That was messy. So the front shield has been completely shot off and requires repairs. And unfortunately, there's already structural integrity damage to our beautiful Excalibur. Meanwhile, the Excalibur returns fire. So he's going to attack 2 of his photon lances left and 2 of the photon lances to the right. It's going to be a 4 up to hit, not a 3 up to hit. You're probably going, why is that? It's because there's a profile bonus on the Cockatrice. If you actually look up at the top left corner, you can see it adds 1 to our roll to try to hit here. So this is not good. Keep in mind this particular mount here, the T1, it is disabled, but since damage is simultaneous, we don't actually know. All right, so we need a 4 or greater. This is attacking Alpha 1-2. That's a miss. 2nd shot against Alpha 1-2. Clean hit. That's going to be 3, 4, 5, 6 damage to location 3. 6 damage to location 3. Okay, here we go. So we get to choose where we hit in from because we have the same benefit. So we're going to go in the nose. 6, 5, 4, 3 to location 3. 3 to location 3 left. Location 3 is going to shoot a gun off. 1. Done. Splash. So our lovely Alpha 1-2 has been removed from play. Thank you for playing. You dead now. Meanwhile, let's see what happens with the other one. So I don't even need to do that again. So it's still going to be a 4 up against Alpha 1-1. Let's see what happens. So that's a 4. That's going to be 4 damage. 4, 5, 6, 7 damage to location 0. Okay, so we're going to come in from the front again. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Oh. 3, 2. You don't need to roll. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the wrong guy. Oh, I got my guys confused. Is that off a 1-1? Whoopsies. Ignore that. Over here, ha. Okay, here we go. So basically, we're going to do that again. 7. Oh, okay. 7, 6, 5, 4. Into here. 3, 2, 1. Splash. So that chip is also done. You might say, well, wait a minute. Don't you have to roll a dice to see how much structural integrity is actually damaged? Well, seeing as the minimum roll on a dice is a 1 and he has 1 in structural integrity, it doesn't matter that there's a little bit of extra splash. So our beautiful Excalibur shoots his way to victory here and splashes both in one firing pass. So that was very, very cool how that played out. If he was a little bit more clever, he would have reinforced the front shield instead of the side shield, because that way they wouldn't have been able to shoot him from the side. So victory to Excalibur, but obviously he's going to have a little bit of time in repair because he's taken physical structural integrity damage. Keep in mind we can now use our wonderful bridge points, both of these, to actually do a little bit of ad hoc repairing, which we'll go ahead and do in the field. We'll assume this is there's some kind of robotic unit inside. So we need to roll a 5 or higher to fix it. So that means that structural integrity box is busted. I'm sorry, you can't repair structural integrity. I apologize. We're going to try to fix our movement mode first, so let's go ahead and do that. We need a 5 or higher to fix it. So it's a 2, which means that movement is properly disabled if we needed it later. We have that whole box which we can fix, 5 or higher, 10. Nice. So that would mean that we'd be able to continue. This is over time, keep in mind. Make a little dot saying we still need to fix that properly. How about that bridge hit, which we forgot about? Oh no, abort, 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 abort. We took a bridge hit earlier, which means we wouldn't be able to spend these 2 points. So Control Z everything I just did, and just recall that because we lost that second bridge point, we can't use the ad hoc bridge thing. This is as fixed as this thing's going to get until we get some sort of field repairs. All right, so that was Romance of the Seven Realms. It's a pretty neat expansion. As you can see, the games tend to go a little bit quicker than what my intention there was to actually go ahead and do one of these things. You probably have heard of a Luftberry circle. Kind of do something like this, and then the Excalibur is like, aha, I'm going to go after this one like this, and then the other guy, of course, would just come swinging around the back, and he would take a turn, and then he would take a turn, and then he would take a turn. You know, good old-fashioned Luftberry circle right here, which would not be a bad strategy. The other thing I was thinking about doing, but again, I decided not to, just to keep things simple, is doing something where we both go wide like this. That way the X-Wing, or I should say the Excalibur, would have to say, I'm going to go over here. And then this one could have just turned to come follow it just as well. You know, all very, very valid strategies if executed well. All right, so that was Romance of the Seven Realms with Squadron Strike. It's kind of nice when you have simple weapons without crazy stats on them. But it's, again, neat to see everything else. Enjoy.